Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with the next update for my A to Z project pan. It's getting to the end, guys. Obviously this is not the finale, but I have quite an exciting update for you. So without any further rambling, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. But let's just jump into the eyeshadows. So as I've done in last updates, I will have the full list of eyeshadows linked down below, but I will go through the ones that are still in the project. And the first eyeshadow we have is for C, and that is Cyborg from the Sultry palette by Anastasia. This is a shade that I've actually started using quite a lot in the last month. I'm actually wearing this today on like the inner half of my lid. I have another silver as well, but it's mainly this shade. I used to have a little bit of the other one in the furthest inner corner. But I have reached this 5 times in the past month, and this is where I am today. So you can definitely see that there is a dip starting to form, but I don't have pan yet. But I do have 7 uses now in total, and I definitely feel like this is one that I can hit pan on in the next month. Next up we have Anastasia Jackiana palette. I do have 2 shades in here, but I'm going to start with the one that is for G, and that is the shade Ginger. So I'm going to cover up the other one that I'm working on, but that is Ginger right there. And I did use this another 2 times in the past month for a total of 15 uses to hit pan. Definitely a bit more, but it was a really hard packed, super pigmented. I mean, it's not super hard packed, it's Anastasia, but it's hard packed for being Anastasia mattes, and it's honestly such a pigmented shade. I really enjoyed this one for like a warm crease shade, but I hit pan on this quite early in the month. I mean, it only took 2 uses and I really wanted to hit pan on this, so I haven't used it for a while now, but I really enjoyed it while I was working on it. Next up we have eyeshadow that's in my singles palette, and that is for the shade H, and I'm working on the shade, or it's technically not the shade HWY, but it's in that spot in my Franken Mar palette, or wait, is it Soul palette? I think it's the Soul palette. No, it's in the Mar palette. Confused. I do believe it's the Mar palette, but I have kind of merged my Soul and Mar palettes together, which is why this is confusing to me. But it's in the spot for HWY, and that is the shade here, which is technically Floaties from the Soul palette. But as you can see, I did hit pan on this one as well. It took me an additional 5 uses to hit pan on it, and in total it took me 12 uses to hit pan. This is one of the kind of more crumbly eyeshadows from Colourpop. I feel like the shimmer can either be quite crumbly like this one, or more kind of smooth and really nice quality like some others, but this is definitely one of the more crumbly ones, so it didn't take too many uses to hit pan on it. But I did use it, and towards the end, since we are out of summer, I did use this a lot as a layering shade. I found that layering this with a blue shade similar to what I'm wearing on like the center of my lid today made like a really nice kind of bronzy shade. So I did that a few times towards the end in order to hit pan on this. So if you're counting, we have 2 pans so far this month. The next shade is Jester from Makeup Geek. This is what it looks like. I actually haven't used this shade in the past month, so no uses on this. I just haven't focused on it yet. I love this eyeshadow, but for some reason I haven't focused on it throughout the year. I only have 4 uses on this in total, but I definitely feel like this screams awesome to me, so I feel like this month is one month, but I'm definitely going to focus in on this and hopefully pan on it soon. But yeah, not many uses on it, and the dip is not very significant yet, but I think once I focus in on it I should be able to pan relatively soon. We are moving back to the Jackiana palette again for the second shade that we were working on in this palette, and that is the shade Sponsored, which is this one right here. And again, as you can see, I was able to pan on this eyeshadow. It only took me an additional 3 uses to pan on it for a total of 7. This is a beautiful shade, and every time I used it, I literally used it all over my eyelids. It wasn't used like a pop of color kind of shade. I did use it, like I said, all over my lids, so every time I used it I used quite a lot, and I think that's why it didn't take very many uses to pan on it. But yes, that is where I'm with this palette, and that means that this whole palette is rolling out of this project, and I will pan on an additional 2 shades in here. So we only have 2 shadows left to talk about. The next one comes from my Subculture palette, and that is the shade Untamed. Before this month I had used this 10 times, and I have used it an additional 2 times, and that is where I am today. So you can see that there is a dip starting to form, but this is taking so long to hit pan on because it is such a pigmented shade, and I only ever use this really in my outer corner or as a liner. Yeah, it's definitely taking a while, so I do have quite a few uses in here at the moment. And this is probably one of the ones that I'm worried about not hitting pan on. I mean, I will have pan on it eventually. I mean, I have still like 3 months left of the year, so I think if I just focus on it definitely for 3 months I will hit pan on it, but it's just such a hard shade to use, and it's also not a shade that I use every single day. but I feel like I might have to incorporate this more in my everyday looks in order to pan on it. But that is where I am with Untamed. The final shade that I had came from my Magic Mini palette by Juvia's Place, and I was working on the shade Jamoya. This is the silver shade that I was working on for such a long time in this project, and before this month I actually only used it twice, but it was a hard shade for me to incorporate. However, I reached for it an additional 8 times in the past month, and that is where I am today. So as you can see, I hit pan on this one too, and you can see how well loved this palette is looking now. I had pan on all the shimmers and one of the mattes. Definitely the mattes are the ones that I neglected in this palette, but I need to focus on them. But I'm so excited to have a lot of pans in here now, and I did have 2 shades I think in this project from this palette. I had Suba and Jamoya, and then I've also hit pan on, actually I think I had Faso as well in this palette from in this project. I also hit pan on Buon in a different project recently, so this is looking very well loved, which I'm excited about, and that is the last eyeshadow that is in this project. So just to sum up, I had 7 eyeshadows in this project at the last update, and I still tell myself I wanted to pan on at least 2, but ideally 3 shades by this month or by this update, and I actually pan on 4, so that's really good, and I wasn't expecting to pan on that many shades. And that also means that I only have 3 shades left in this project. I have Cyborg, which is a silver shade from the Sultry palette. I have Jester, which was like kind of army green shade in a single, and then I have Untamed from the Subculture palette. So those are the only shades that I have left, and I'm really gonna try to hit pan on all of those by next month. I don't know if that's going to be feasible, especially with Untamed. Like I mentioned, I'm a bit worried about that one, and that's like what I mentioned when I'm worried about hitting pan on that one before next update, because it is definitely harder shade to use. But I think if I use it as an eyeliner or as an outer corner shades, I should be able to hit pan on, hopefully. So that is where I am. Yeah, I'm definitely going to wrap this up before the end of the year, but if I could wrap it up at the beginning of November, that would be great, because that would be 2 months before this project would actually end. So that means I would finish up this project in about 10 months time. So that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I know a few people have been doing this project as well, which I'm really happy to see, because obviously this was a project that I was heavily inspired by Jessica Lee mainly, because I mean, I saw other people do it, but last year she was trying to finish eyeshadows in this project, and I thought, why not turn that into like a hitting pan project? And I've seen a few other people do this as well. So if you are one of the people who are doing it, let me know down below if I missed you, and also let me know how you're doing with your project. But that is it for today. I really hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys!